Good morning, Cyber Crew. Good morning. Feeling like Robin Williams this morning, I guess, with the Good Morning Vietnam reference. A good happy Wednesday to you. I got a crazy cup again today with green in it. So we get the crazy green screen in the Boston cup. Full of Illy coffee. Man, that is some good stuff, I'm telling you. If you haven't got your Illy coffee, you got it. I say don't buy your Illy coffee. Come to Cyber Trivia Night, win Cyber Trivia Night, win the Illy prize, and just get your coffee for free. That's the easiest way to do it. We'll come to Trivia Night, win the Illy coffee, we'll ship it to you, and you got coffee for free. What? It couldn't get better than that. Got a little weirdness going on with green screen. Let's see if we can't fix that. Try to balance this out. Wow, we got something going on. I guess we're just gonna live with it. Something down in here. I don't know what's causing all that, but maybe just I don't know. Crazy reflection off the table, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully y'all are doing good. Got a lot going on today. It's like this always this wave of news. Mondays, Fridays are a little light. Like I always say, by Wednesday, Thursday, we're hitting it pretty hard. So of course today we're hitting it pretty hard. We picked up four stories. Pulled four out of the giant pile of stories to talk about. Important stuff. One, we're talking about tech targets, talking about ransomware. They lead in a little bit. It's, I get a bit frustrated on how some of these stories are titled. This one is, big ransomware attacks overshadowing other alarming trends, making you think that they're going to bring some other alarming trends forward. They're not. I'm going to give you a hint. They're not. We're going to talk a lot about ransomware in that story, though. Gartner expecting more CEOs to pay out cash, and that's tied. It's tied to all the stuff that's going on, including ransomware. Pioneer Kitten, our buddies over in Iran, not really our buddies, but folks over in Iran, the APT over in Iran, talking about selling corporate data, and U.S. voter databases are up for sale. Not even up for sale. They had been up for sale. Now they're at a low price of free on the Darkweb. Why? I'm going to tell you. But hope you're doing good. How is your day going? How is your week going? We're halfway through the week. This is our last live show for a week. So we'll be out for a week. Well, then we'll be back next Thursday. Next Thursday, Trivia Night again. Already on top of us. Lots of stuff to cover. Why does it not slow down? And I'm going to tell you why it doesn't slow down, because there's money in it. There's money in being bad. Because there's money in being bad, we have to be extra vigilant at what we do. So if you're out there, you're the cyber guy, you're the risk person, you're the security girl, whatever. You're out there, you're taking care of your friends, your family, your organization, your coworkers, you're taking care of everyone. And it just keeps coming. It keeps coming. It keeps coming because there's money in it for the bad guy. And we've always got to remember that. The bad guy is ultimately motivated by something. And a lot of times, recently, it's just been money. State-sponsored APTs traditionally have been after intelligence or something that's going to give them the edge. They are turning this way. We see the Iranian hacker APTs, the North Korean hacker APTs, switching their focus. They're obviously still going after intelligence, but now they're going after money too. And we're going to see that when we talk about Pioneer Kitten, which is not technically a state-sponsored APT, but it's certainly not stopped by the state of Iran. And you know that a lot of the benefits from the nefarious activities that Pioneer Kitten does go back to support Iran anyway. So while they're not technically state-sponsored, Iran sure gets a lot of benefit from what these guys do, what these cats in this case, makes perfect good sense to call them cats. Yeah, that's why we got weird lights moved on us. Um, that's why that's what these guys are after. That's what the folks are after. Cash is making its way to the top of the list, not just in the organized crime, but also in the state-sponsored stuff. So that's what they're after. That's what we got to keep doing our job for. You'll note I've got a brand new shop shirt. This one is from a trip I took this weekend, just down the road, just down 610 here in Stafford, Virginia, to the Barley Naked Brewing Company. Barley Naked. Gotta love the play on words. We didn't stay there. Had a friend from out of town come in. We didn't stay and enjoy the place, but they were doing a great job. We went there Sunday. They opened at 2. We got there at like 1:30, so we had to hang out and do some other stuff. But they were setting up. They had tents set up outside. They had food trucks outside. It looked like the whole crew was out there making things happen. Grabbed this shop shirt. I enjoyed kind of the back of this thing. Let's get Barley Naked. Stafford, VA, right down the road here. Breweries in Stafford are going crazy. 4, 5, 6 of them down here. To me, a better time than a wine trip. Trip to a vineyard, always a trip to a brewery is better. That's my viewpoint. I think my darling bride would say maybe we should put them equal. I don't think so. I think putting the breweries on top. Paul, what do you think? I see you're out there, Paul. Breweries or vineyards? Which one is it that's the better trip for you? I know your significant other would probably have a different point of view. Just for you, what are you thinking? So that's that. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about this morning before we get into the news. Yesterday I alluded that we have re-looked at how we're building training. And one of the things we do, the primary focus is getting you, the cyber professional, the security professional, the risk professional, tooled up with more information. And that's with this daily show, giving you information about what's going on in the news, but also giving you access to training resources that you can use for yourself or you can use for your crew at work or your friends, your family, coworkers. Of course, to point to, and we're trying to offer different levels. IT Fundamentals Plus for the people just getting into IT at all. Security Plus for those folks that have been around a while. And the RMF for the folks in the risk professional track. And Alex and some other folks are helping me get that one to the next level. We're not just talking RMF. We're talking RMF on with a cape. We're talking RMF with a spandex suit on. We're talking super RMF. We're doing the next level. This next training is the next level of RMF. So we started looking around, kicking around. What do we like about online training? Because that's how it's got to be. We have to have online training now, and that's what our product is. So we offer the free stuff, and there's always going to be the free stuff, and that's always going to be on YouTube. Well, for the foreseeable future, unless YouTube does something to us, it's always going to be out there. You can go out and get it. I want to make sure there's training available to people that can't afford to pay for it. Just go out and watch the training, work your way through it. It's going to be harder, obviously, because it's more cumbersome to navigate that path. So we started thinking about the learning platform we use online. How can we make that better? So we kicked it around. We started thinking about what that, it's a course, and a course is made of numbers of lessons. I've got it written on the whiteboard over there because we mapped this out. And then each lesson is made up of a number of topics. And the topics all should have like an intro, what's going on, where you can get resources, and then we put a special video in there. In most cases, it's the same exact video you can get on YouTube, but the difference is this one stops and quizzes you along the way. It's an interactive video. We can't post that to YouTube. That's one of the reasons we have to have the website. The interactive video can't be posted to YouTube because the technology doesn't exist to let you take the online. So the video, then there's a deep explanation of what is going on in the course, references, quizzes that you have to, the quizzes in each topic you don't have to pass, the quizzes in the lesson you do, and that's going to prep you to be ready. So we mapped this thing out, getting the framework for the first ones ready. probably next week we'll have a demo set to look at one of the topics, and it's going to be one of and we renumbered everything, trying to make things easier for everyone. So it's all a big trend to get ready for diving into updating all the training, but getting ready for this super RMF class. And Alex, I don't know what we're going to call this thing. RMF 2.0.0 201, or I don't know, super RMF. But I got answers back here. Alex tell me breweries for men, wineries for women. And Paul coming back, not really a beer guy, but loves some authentic sangria. Now that we have a great recipe provided by your wife, perhaps we should venture into the brewery world. Yeah, you do love. Yeah, Paul likes his sangria. He's a big sangria fan. You got a good sangria though. Super RMF, super duper RMF. Gotta name this thing. So we gotta get our first meeting together. We gotta kick off. We've got a date. We got it on the calendar. A little over a month away. I think we said the 19th, whatever that Monday is, in October. Whatever the advanced RMF class is gonna be called. It's coming up. It's coming at us. Getting ready. So all the other classes can be revamped under this new model, this new framework of the way we're doing topics, because it lends to better training. So that's what that is. RMF for ISOs. I think ISOs, but it's beyond that. I think it's so much wider than that. I don't know. I want to make sure we're covering down everything we need to cover, because we're talking about implementing controls. We're talking about chunking into assessing controls. We're talking about all the topics that don't get covered on the basic, like the 101 stuff. Maybe it is just advanced RMF. AR. Advanced RMF. We'll kick it around, Alex. I get some good ideas. Super advanced, super duper advanced RMF. Let's throw the intro out there and let's jump into Lost News. Paul, yes, the new framework will be retrofitted into all the classes. That's why we're trying to figure out how to do this the quickest, most possible way, most field expedient way to do it. We're gonna have probably starting when we get back from the hiatus next week. We'll kick everybody into high gear and just start cranking things out, tooling everything over to this new framework. Really, it's just everything you need for that topic is going to be available at your fingertips, from books that support it to resources that support it to handouts and resources and job aids, the references, the video. All of it's going to be in one screen, one view that you can just get to. And we just thought, we sat down, and really the point was, what do we like about some of the online training? And there's some things we just couldn't agree that we liked a lot of stuff. And if we were building this thing from the ground up, what would we put in it that we would want as security people going through the training? And there's just a lot of stuff. And there's more stuff we'd like to put in here, but we want to make sure it's something that can be digestible. So multimodal training is one of the things we want to focus on. So it's going to be there in video. It's going to be there. You can grab a book on it. It's going to be there if you want to read about it. It's going to be there trying to figure out the best way to do the exercises without getting too deep. So you don't want it too deep, so it's going to take forever to get done. But we want to make sure there are some exercises that can reinforce training. So, great question, Paul. Of course, I know you're heavy on that path down the Security Plus road. I know I got some friends taking Security Plus this very week, tomorrow actually. We've got a little over a year left on 501 before it jumps over to 601. That's what that is. Ransomware. TechTarget jumped on. They have their first article on our list this morning. Big ransomware attacks overshadowing other alarming trends. Oh my goodness. What are they going to talk about? Are they going to talk about different types of malware? Are they going to talk about social engineering? Are they going to talk about physical attacks. What are they going to talk about? Well, they're going to talk about the same stuff we have talked about, you and I, the group here. Same stuff. They jump out and they say, okay, ransomware is everywhere. We're going to talk about some of the people that got attacked. Xerox, Canon, Konica, Minolta, Garmin, Carnival Cruise Lines, Brown Forman Corporation, and you know those guys from the other day. We talked about Brown Forman, makers of Jack Daniels and others. And they go on and say, yeah, it's not just that. And really what they're talking about is ransomware is not just ransomware anymore. But it is. I mean, what they should be talking about is ransomware is not just crypto locking your data anymore. Now it's into social shaming as well. So we see the trend that has been put in place by Maze, and that's what this article goes on to say. They talk about Maze. We've talked about Maze. Maze is the first one that said, okay, let's look at this model. The model is we break into your network, we encrypt your data, and then we make you pay us to decrypt it. We're going to put a sufficiently strong key to where you can't break it, and you're going to pay us for that key so you can get your data back. So a good organization would say, okay, cool. We're going to protect. We've got a way to, here's your threat, right? We've got a threat actor. We've got maybe a vulnerability in our network that can be exploited by the threat actor, so we have an actual risk. The risk is these guys could possibly get in and encrypt all of our data, and we need to have a countermeasure or a control for that. So our control, we say, is we're going to do backups. We're going to do backups at the frequency we need to protect our data, and we're going to keep those bad boys offline. All right, that was our 3-2-1, right? Encrypt it 3 times, or back it up 3 times, 2 different methods, or 2 different medias, and one of them offline. 3-2-1. Cool. Take it offline. We're all protected. Bad guy hits us, locks our data up. We just recover, and they get no money. And we said at the top of the hour, bottom of the hour, I guess, technically, they're in it for the money. So Maze is the first one. They said, okay, easy to throw up. We'll build a website, and we'll put your data. Before we encrypt it, we're taking it off your servers. We're going to back it up on our site, and if you don't pay us the money, not only are we going to encrypt your data, you're going to have to pay us for the decryption key, but if you don't pay us, because maybe you've got protections, maybe you've got those controls in place, we're just going to we're going to post your data for everyone to read on the internet, on the dark web, on the interweb, anywhere we can post it, we're going to post it, right? So now there's the shaming. There's the fact that you were breached, your data was encrypted, and now we're going to post it, which could be sensitive, business sensitive, or it could be something like PII, could be sensitive client information, it could be all kinds of things that they've taken, and now they're going to post it. Now there's it's double whammy, and the article talks. That's the big point of this article is this is the trends in ransomware, and these are the trends we've talked about. They're becoming more organized. Maze is a good example. Setting a cartel up, helping other ransomware actors get their foot up. We see it with other types of ransomware where they say, well, we're just going to build an affiliate program. We're going to market our product, and you can just come grab it and go attack things, and we'll take a little percentage of the attack. Or maybe we make you pay for the tool and then go do your thing. We're going to have an affiliate program. So they're branching out, they're growing, they're developing the way that malware, this ransomware, malware, attacks folks, the way that we have to deal with it. The other thing they talk about, kind of interesting in the article, is early on, the bad actor, the ransomware folks, would look at profit and loss statements from a company, and they would set the price of the ransomware based on that. And a lot of times they weren't getting paid, because just because you look at a profit and loss statement for a company doesn't mean that's the amount of money they have available to pay out ransomware. And obviously, cyber insurance comes into this and all kinds of other stuff, which is a direct link to the next article, the next story we're going to talk about. But there's times that they'll look at the profit loss statement and say, "You're going to pay me $1 million," and the company says, "We just don't have it. They just don't have it. Maybe they don't have cyber insurance. Maybe they can't cover it." So now they're being a more efficient. The bad guys being more efficient at determining a price that's really acceptable to the corporation that's being attacked. So One of the things is, do they have cyber insurance? If they have cyber insurance, we can maybe charge a little more money because we know it's not always going to come out of the pockets of the person that we're attacking. They can transfer that risk, like we talk about risk transfer, to the insurance company. And now the insurance company pays half and maybe the organization pays half, or however that insurance policy is set up. So that's really what this is talking about. They finish it off saying the best thing that a corporation, an individual, or anyone can do to protect themselves is basic cyber hygiene. This means that all internet-facing systems, they put a note there, RDP, making sure, securing all, let me start over. This means securing all internet-facing systems, RDP, making sure security patches are routinely updated, and of course, testing your backup regime. Also, firms should undertake regular exercises to test out their IR, or incident response, practices, and even get input from their security vendors. Are they responsive enough should something happen? The big thing that they talk about cyber insurance in the article as well, and a lot of people believe that if I have cyber insurance, it'll just cover the breach. I can be back up and running in days or maybe even hours. The article points out that cyber insurance doesn't work that way. You could be down for weeks or months until the cyber insurance pays. And there's a lot of other things that you have to meet when you're using cyber insurance. And I'm not an expert in cyber insurance by any way or shape or form, but I do know a little bit about it. So one of the things, if you go get your cyber insurance policy, they're going to evaluate your business, and they're going to see how your controls, security controls, your privacy controls are in place. Similar to an audit. I love the audit. And then they're going to set the price of your insurance and the amount of coverage based on those controls that are in place at the time of writing the policy. So if we write the policy today, and I get it breached a year from now, and I've let a lot of those controls slide off, I'm not doing my backups like I should, I'm not doing my identification and authentication like I should, a lot of controls start sliding off. The insurance company, like insurance companies do, they have the ability a year from now to go back in and evaluate your system again before they do a payout and say, when we checked your system and gave you a quote, you had these 100 controls in place across your organization. Now that you've been breached, we looked at you and you have 50 controls, like 50 just you stopped doing once you got your insurance policy. There is the possibility of the insurance company to say, your policy is null and void. You're not meeting your requirements that the policy was written under. So that's in the article too. Cyber insurance is not going to pay off. That fact-finding expedition that the cyber insurance has to do could take weeks or months. So you're sitting there waiting for money to pay out a ransomware claim. The bad guy's got a timer on that claim that says, you're going to pay in a week or we're going to release this data. And then your cyber insurance folks are saying, it's going to take us 2 months to do our investigation before we can cut you a check. Possibly. That could possibly happen that way. So think about these things. These are the things we have to frame. We have to put the frame around these things when we do our risk assessment of these things. And remember, transferring risk is one of the risk actions we can do. We can transfer that risk to another party, and that could be an insurance provider, a cyber insurance provider. We have to know, let's talk about the policy. Don't just say, hey, we know legal's got with XYZ insurance company, and they put a cyber insurance policy for $28 million in place for our company. What does it mean? What are the requirements we have to meet as an organization to maintain that? And how fast is the payout should something like a ransomware attack happen? We need to know that. We need to build that into our process, our plan, our procedures, and we need to be ready to act on it. It needs to be just as simple as the backups we do and where we keep those backups. We need to know how our insurance works. Keep that in mind, because a lot of people are just buying the cyber insurance and think they're good to go and drive on with their day. It's not that easy. Think about how you have to deal with it should something happen. Ransomware is not going anywhere, guys. It's going to be around. It's going to keep on keeping on with us. It's really tied to this article from Gartner. Gartner, they're saying, the title of this thing, Gartner expects more CEOs, chief executive officers, to be personally liable for cyber physical security incidents. They tied cyber and physical together. And this is the liability for failing to protect systems from cyber incidents will fall directly into many CEOs by 2024. Gartner is predicting 2024 is not too far away. The analyst firm expects liability for cyber physical systems, CPS. Incidents will pierce the corporate veil to personal liability for 75% of CEOs. In the U.S., the FBI, the NSA, and Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, have already increased the frequency and details provided around threats and critical infrastructure-related systems, most of which are owned by private industry. So they're saying, Gartner's saying, the FBI, the NSA, and CISA have been pretty good about pushing information out. They continue to push information out to organizations, to organizational leadership, including CEOs and CSOs and CISOs, CISOs. And this is what Gartner's basing a lot of this on. There's more information available today on security risks, cyber risks, physical risks than there ever has been. And more of it's being pushed directly to these organizations. So the Gartner, Thielman from Gartner, believes that the CEO will no longer be able to plead ignorance or retreat behind insurance policies. And that's what we just talked about. So one facet of this is, as a CEO, supported by a CISO or a CISO, I can't just say, oh, I didn't know about these ransomware things. This is new. When did this start happening? We can't say that as a CEO. They are responsible. And we think about this. Sarbanes-Oxley and things like that have pushed specific responsibilities on the CEO. And this is one of them. So now they can't say, well, I just didn't know about this ransomware thing. Is this new? Because so much information is being pushed out. The other thing is insurance policies are starting, especially with these multi-million-dollar ransomware payouts, they're starting to push back a little bit because I'm sure the insurance companies got into the cyber insurance thinking, this is a cash cow, man. We'll pay out a few antivirus claims and we'll be good to go. The financial impact of CPS, remember cyber and physical systems, attacks resulting in casualties to human life is predicted to reach over 50 billion by 2023. Think about that. There are casualties to human life, and especially as we move into driverless cars and advanced systems controlling traffic patterns and things like that. But think about the other things like pacemakers that are connected to the internet that are used for remote monitoring, physical devices that are implanted in humans that are controlled remotely. That's one part of this. It's 50 billion. But then there's other things, driverless car technology, trains that are run on automated processes. Just the impact, the casualties to human life. 50 billion by 2023. That's pretty startling. And we all said that once the cyber stuff started impacting the real world, the threat landscape is going to change. And we're knocking on the door of that. We're already probably halfway. At least we got our foot in the door. Implanted systems in humans that are controlled remotely across the internet. Support systems at hospitals that are managed and run remotely or managed and run by cyber systems. Even the driverless cars, driverless trucks, infotainment systems that can be breached and break into safety systems on a car. So many different things could result in casualties. Things I'm not even talking about. A bunch of them right now. So technology leaders help the CEO understand the risk that CPS represent and the need to dedicate focus and budget to secure them. Thielman continues, the more connected CPS are, the higher the likelihood of an incident occurring. However, many enterprises are not aware of CPS already deployed in their organization, either due to legacy systems connected to enterprise networks or teams outside of IT in the OT world, or because new business-driven automation and modernization efforts as we automate and modernize things. And that's the factory floor, man. If we look at the factory floor today versus 50 years ago, what a difference. How many robots and industrial systems are on a factory floor? That'd be interesting to see, like a automotive assembly line today matched up with a picture from 50 years ago. The same, if we could see the same line, and how many differences there are. Crazy. Organizations struggle to monitor their networks because they often don't know what's there, and that allows hackers to hide under the radar. SANS says that's number one. Know what's on your network. You got to know what's on your network. You got to know what software that's running. Number one. Number two on SANS top 20. Seems like the fix. Seems like a fix, but it really isn't. Paying ransom might be the cheapest short-term option to get your data back, but it causes a long-term problem. Definitely. And tying it into other things. So the big thing to take away here, if you are out in an organization and you're the risk, the cyber, the information security person out there taking care of things, know that your leadership, this is probably more pertinent to those folks that are in private industry, even private industry supporting the government, your CSO, your COO, your CISO, and especially your CEO can be personally responsible for this stuff. So if you think of an organization today, in September of 2020, your strategy is going to go out to 2023, 2025. If your strategy is not thinking about these things, you're probably wrong. Just like your risk folks, if they don't have ransomware on their risk plan, they're wrong. If whoever's building your strategy is not thinking about this very article, they're wrong. Because I guarantee you, as more and more ransomware hits, cyber insurance is going to become tighter and tighter, or it's become more and more expensive. So you have to plan that in. If you're using cyber insurance, plan in for the possibility that they're going to pay out less or they're going to charge you more. That's got to be built into your strategy, guys. Come on. Think about what Gartner's saying. Gartner's usually at least half right. They've got their threat curve, their hype curve. We always want to look at that. Gartner's a pretty good organization to tap into should you need to tap into a pretty good think tank. There they are, Pioneer Kitten. This graphic, I think, who is that? Not Cobalt Strike. I gotta think about who I got this. I borrowed this graphic from. Because they do pretty good. CrowdStrike. There you go. CrowdStrike does pretty good research on all these different organizations. So give them credit for their graphic and the good work they do. And this article is by Threat Post, and I always know a good article because I mark them up. I try to mark them up. Sometimes the little markup program doesn't work so well. But Threat Post, when I look at this article, and it's got just like red lines everywhere, just things I want to bring up when we're talking. This has got them all over the place, where the last one barely had any. So, Iranian-based APT has infiltrated multiple VPNs using open source tools and known exploits. I mean, guys, we have talked about this for weeks now. There are a couple different VPNs out there that have vulnerabilities from last year that are still not patched. So Pioneer Kitten has been linked to Iran, has been spotted selling corporate network credentials on hacker forums. The group's advertising access to compromised networks on an underground forum, at least since July. Alex Orleans, a senior intelligence analyst from CrowdStrike, you guys made this graphic here. Pioneer Kitten's work is related to other groups either sponsored or run by Iranian government, which were previously seen hacking VPN and planting backdoors in the corporations around the world. Indeed, the credential sales on hacker forums seem to suggest a potential attempt at revenue stream diversification, and its targeted intrusions to support the Iranian government. Pioneer Kitten's been around since 2017, does not appear to be directly operated by the Iranian government, but is rather sympathetic to the regime and likely a private contractor for the government. These guys normally rely on SSH tunneling using open source tools such as ngrok and a custom tool called SSH Minion. With implants and hands-on keyboard activity via remote desktop protocol, RDP. Again, RDP. Ransomware. Top 3 ways ransomware is getting into your network today. Insecure RDP directly connected to the internet. VPN that's not being patched and upgraded. And phishing, social engineering attacks. That's the 3 ways they're getting to your data. They talk about RDP exploits. They talk about exploiting VPNs, Pulse Secure Connect, Citrix servers, network gateways, big F5 big IP load balancers that have all had vulnerabilities that have patches available that haven't been patched. That's how they're getting in. I'm going to throw that up in a second, Alex. Almost done with this one. We'll throw that comment up there. Pioneer Kitten's targets are North American and Israeli organizations for intelligence gathering about interest to the Iranian government. The kittens from Iran have not been as well known as the pandas and the bears. So the Chinese APTs are named after pandas, and the Russians are named after bears. Iran gets kittens. They haven't been as big a threat in the past, but they're emerging in recent years as a formidable cyber enemy, amassing a number of APTs to mount attacks on political adversaries. And we know why this is, because it's asymmetric. Cyber attacks are asymmetric warfare. It means that we can get these folks trained up relatively cheaply. That means the equipment, the training, all that stuff's available out there. And when they do an attack, the amount of money that's been spent on that attack, the amount of time that's spent on the attack, is far less than the impact that the attack makes. So it's asymmetric. It's not equal. It's easy. It's a smaller amount on one side that leads to a bigger incident on the other side. Of these, Charming Kitten, which he talks a little about Charming Kitten. This article is about Pioneer Kitten. They link over to Charming Kitten. That's APT 35. They're the most active and dangerous group. They've got a new campaign linked to WhatsApp to convince targets, including Israeli university scholars and U.S. government employees, to click on a malicious link. Politically motivated and socially engineered attacks, what they're after. So they talk a little bit about Charming Kitten. So Pioneer Kitten is the APT that is more than likely ran by a contractor that's sympathetic to the Iranian government. Charming Kitten is ran by the Iranians. It is far more dangerous than this. But don't let this one go unnoticed. They're taking the credentials that have been gathered, and they're making them available online to be purchased on the dark web. Now let's take that off. We'll talk for a second. When Cyber-Recon's corporate team retreat, here the entire company's going off-site for a week. Therefore, no Cup of Cyber Week. Not the whole team. Mako and Emily are going to be here. They're actually going to put out some content on their own, which is going to be great. As you know, they're new to newer, I guess I should say, to the security world. Emily's putting some stuff out. She's going to be talking about some of the stuff in the IT Fundamentals Plus curriculum. So she's spending a lot of time getting a module together where we just talk about the different cables. And back in the day, 20 years ago, cabling was pretty easy. There was just a lot of them. There are not that many of them. Today, there's a ton of different cables you need to know about, and that's what one of the things she's going to talk about. She was going to do that last night, but I want to make sure we go through the slide deck and make sure she gets taken care of. But she's going to do that one on her own. I think Mako's going to do probably he's got one talking about random access memory, and one that he's talking about power supplies. He may do that one as well. They've got stuff they're going to cover. So not the whole team retreat. We're just getting, the lovely bride and I are getting away for a little bit. So the morning show, I'm going to tell you, Mako and Emily are in that millennial group. They're not going to get up at 5:30 in the morning and get ready for the morning show. I'm telling you that right now. They won't be here in the early morning. Maybe we'll have a remote one from where we're going to. Alex says, I hear the kittens hate the Dutch. The kittens really hate the Israelis, that's for sure. The Dutch, do the kittens hate the Dutch? Or is it, maybe it's gone over my head. But I didn't know they're after the folks in Amsterdam. Or maybe they're just their lifestyle. I don't know. Tell me more, Alex. I want to know more why the kittens hate the Dutch. Be interesting to know. The vote's coming up, and we've been worried. We've been worried about a number of things. Mail-in voting. The way the mail's been working lately, I don't know that I believe in mail-in voting right now. I in the military, I did absentee voting. Seemed to work like a charm. Seemed to work great. Recently, even just getting packages on time. Postal service has really fallen down. And I don't know if it's because of the current administration. I don't know if it's been systemic. I remember when I was growing up, it was funny, somebody was talking about this the other day. It's not funny really, but it used to going postal. It came. There was a reason people said that. It had to be the 90s, I guess. That postal workers were just so overstressed. A lot of them were snapping, and really, honestly, shooting up the place. Not funny in that matter. It's funny that term is around, and now we see issues with the post office from the top all the way down. I know locally here the postal system is just not good. It's just not good. The lovely bride got some stuff. She got clearly stamped as big as you possibly could make it on that side. Do not bend, and it was just folded over, shoved in the mailbox. Stuff delivered to the wrong house. We get stuff delivered to us all the time that's for other houses in the neighborhood. We'll obviously take it back. We've had stuff for our house delivered to other people. Stuff gets lost in the mail. They found mail just thrown in dumpsters. And now I don't know, I'm just on the fence about voting through the mail. I've done it. Trust me, I'm not saying it can't be done. Absentee ballots for service members typically is done through the mail. So it's not that it's never been done before. It's just huge segments of the population could be left out. I mean, a whole neighborhood could be left out if that postal carrier just decides to throw the stuff in the garbage. I'm not saying that's all of them. So I'm not painting all of the postal service with this broad brush. I'm saying that in my experience, personal experience that I've had, the postal workers have not been on top of it 100%. And for the vote, it's got to be 100%. It really does. And I know that's hard to say, because there's always been errors in voting, but we should strive for it to be 100%. So I don't know. But the problem with this story we're going to talk about, Threat Post is going to talk about it. Some underground forums said they're monetizing the information through the State Department's anti-influence campaign effort. And you say, what information? U.S. voter databases are offered for free on the dark web. Personal information for several million American voters turned up on a Russian underground cybercrime forum, according to reports, and users are looking to monetize it through the State Department's program. It's crazy. And you wonder how much information is out there. An outlet reported on Tuesday several databases of voter data, including one database that one of the many that has been posted to this Russian forum includes 7.6 million voters in Michigan. Others containing between 2 and 6 million voters from Arkansas, Connecticut, Florida, and North Carolina. That's not saying between 2 and 6 million from all those. That's saying that between 2 and 6 million is the number from each of those. So 2, 4, 6, at least 8 million, but probably more than that because the top end 6. So I'm going to guess that, think places like Connecticut, Arkansas maybe the 2 million, 3 million. Florida probably up towards the 6 million side. They turned up in an unnamed marketplace in late 2019. That's when it was for sale, and now it's just free. Now it's free. Someone going by the handle Gorka9 is the one posting this guy. Oh man. As usual in these cases, these victims, registered voters are the victims, will need to be on the lookout for bad actors. Guy you love, gotta get the shirt, man, gotta get the shirt. Attempting to use the information gleaned from these databases to obtain even more information about their targets. That's from Chris Hawk, privacy champion at Pixel Privacy. It's said to believe that in this day and age, that simply registering to exercise your right to vote can make you a target for hackers. Of course, they're putting your data in a database. It's always going to be a target. Meanwhile, forum users told Commersat that they have also been able to monetize the data through the U.S. State Department's $10 million anti-influence program, the Rewards for Justice program, which is administered by the Diplomatic Security Service, is offering millions in rewards for information leading to the identification or location of any person who works with a foreign government for the purpose of interfering with U.S. elections through certain illegal activities. One person told Commersat that he was paid $4,000 through the program for alerting feds about the leaked Connecticut voter database. It's not been confirmed, though. How are they getting the information, you might ask? Number one on the list, SQL injection. So SQL injection to exploit the database. Then the article goes on to say that normally these folks aren't doing the things they should do, the things we talk about, the countermeasures that are in place, encrypting the data, that kind of things that they're saying, well, if we encrypt the data, there's a heavy impact on the system, and that impacts our resources and performance. So that makes it so much easier when the bad guy gets in to breach it. Encryption of database is in both DISA STIGs and CIS benchmarks. Encrypt your database. Good story on blog post. A lot more information in there. It was one of the ones. Guy, I don't know. Illy, let's see what's going on. I agree. My husband is tired. Husband tried working at the post office. He only lasted for 1 month. Couldn't handle the stress. Got to be a stressful job. I know it's got to be stressful. So I'm not putting that down on any of the folks that work there. I just know that lately it seems to have gotten worse. Yeah, everyone shakes their heads at SQL DBAs, database administrators. Yeah, everyone shake their heads at them. You guys, especially these folks, man. And it's just not one. It's not one case. It's not like Connecticut's database was breached and that was it. 3-4 million voters were. It's all of these places. All Michigan, almost 7.5 million, right around 7.5 million. Arkansas, Connecticut, Florida, North Carolina. These are the ones that have been identified. I can assume there's more out there. Yeah, shake your head at SQL DBAs. And you know, if you're working in cyber, if you're working in risk, if you're working in information security or threat, you know you've had these conversations with these DBAs in the past, where you sit down with them and you say, we've got to encrypt this data. Well, we can't. Or we can encrypt it in mass. We can do a mass encryption. Like, no, let's encrypt it. Let's encrypt it at the field level. Let's encrypt it at the row level. Let's provide assurances that only those people that need information to data can get the data. We can segment it out. And it's always that conversation. This is going to impact performance. And we've got. Come on, guys. This is our fight. We've got to fight for these controls. In this case, we're talking about encryption of a database as a control. That is a control. But then there's a number of other controls. There's 100 other controls we've got to fight for every single day. And I think that's what Alex and I are talking about in this advanced RMF class. We throw, we talk about RMF and we talk about the basics of RMF. We throw the 853, we throw, you know, controls, enhancements, all the other thing, 1,000 controls and enhancements at a person and say, go implement this. And they go, how am I going to do it? Especially a young person in cyber, young person in risk, a young person in info security, they get this. If you look at 853, it's a giant book. And then you got to think, okay, I've got 853, and then I've got 853 alpha, which is equally as large for assessing those controls. When we throw these at somebody and say, go do this, go make this happen, and maybe we've got somebody in cyber for a couple years, and they go run into this, what Matt's talking about right here. This DBA has been a SQL database administrator for the last 15 years, and the new IA guy comes up and says, hey, I need you to encrypt your database. And they go, no, I can't do it. Can't be done. It's going to impact security. Go talk to the CEO. He's going to tell you, we can't impact our users. You're going to have to, we're just not going to encrypt the database. And then this happens. And then somebody comes screaming at the IA guy or the security person or the cyber girl and says, hey, how come you didn't make us encrypt those databases? You knew that was a control. That's in 853. That's in CIS benchmarks. That's in DISA-STIGs. Why didn't you make us do that? And you go, all right. What about scarlet letter for DBs at companies that have been breached? Good old, yeah, just type that big old breach. Just the word breach in red. The scarlet word. I need to get one of those. I don't know. It's the fight. It's the fight we talk about every morning. It's the fight we're going to go. It's the good fight we go off to do every single day when we leave our homes to go out, or maybe we just do it in our homes now, to our organizations, and we have to make sure that we look at those controls, and we have to every day be ready to go out and know why we're doing it. No, this is why we're doing it. This is why we have to fight that DBA to say, no, we need to figure out a way that we can do some type of encryption, some type of access control on the database, some type of encryption on the network, and so many other things that are from the catalog. It's what we've got to do. It is a fight every day. There are hostile actors every day coming after your organization. And if you don't think you're on the scope of people, you're on the scope for one thing or another, because you've got information they want, because you want resources they want, maybe just your computing power, or they want some money from you. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled that you're out there alone and nope, you're flying under the radar. Nobody anymore is flying under the radar. Especially now we're talking about these ransomware actors that are doing affiliate programs. Maybe you got the new affiliate guy that's like, I can't get to these big cats. I can't go after the Lockheed Martins and the Department of Justice, but I can go after Sally's Bait Shop. I might not get a lot of money, but I'm gonna get $300 from Sally's Bait Shop and $400 from Joe's Donut Shop, and I'm gonna do it this way. That's my target set. I'm going to do it this way. Everyone has to be on the lookout. So as risk, cyber, and security folks, we have to go every day to fight the good fight. We have to know why we're doing it. And this is one of the reasons. I don't know the answer for mail-in voting. I know we're going to have it by November. We'll have an answer one way or another. I know the post office needs to figure out what's going on. It's important. It's important to vote. Constitutional right, man. Go vote. But anyways, enough on that. I know it's kind of a bummer of a story, man, but VJ Day is today. Victory in Japan Day. I know I linked. I've lost a web page. Where is? There we go. The History Channel is where I stole this link from. History Channel's got a good article on VJ Day. There is some confusion around VJ Day. So on August 14th, 1945, the Japanese government cabled the U.S. their surrender. That's the date of most modern observances. August 15th was news of the surrender was announced to the world. And then on September 2nd, 1945, was that picture we all know. We all know this picture where Japan formally surrendered in Tokyo Bay aboard the USS Missouri. Mighty Mo, Truman declared September 2nd to be VJ Day. Regardless which day you view it, this was 75 years ago, guys. 75 years ago, World War II actually ended. You know, we won in Europe before this. This was the actual. Japan held out a little longer than Europe did till the 2 atomic bombs. And that's the victory over Japan Day. Officially, I think officially September 2nd, 75 years ago. The article on History Channel, from Pearl Harbor to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Crazy. A couple questions. Where is D? I don't know. Where is D? Where's D at? That's a good question. I don't know. She's probably taking a break still. Enjoying. It's rainy and cloudy and rainy out. It's a good time to be just in bed sleeping in, I think. Battleship Missouri docked overlooking the U.S. Arizona in Hawaii. Cool old ship. There was I don't know if they still do it. There's a cigar shop. Used to be up on 610 here in Stafford, Virginia, that sold pens that were made from the teak wood of the Missouri. If you've never seen a battleship fire, and I know the battleships we don't have them in the active fleet anymore, but battleships are amazing pieces of equipment. Giant guns, and it doesn't do justice just to see pictures of them. I had the opportunity when I was in the Army in the National Training Center in Fort Irwin, California, the high desert in California. The bottom side of NTC is actually the 29 Palms, where the Marines go to do their same type of training. And this is 1988, I think. When I was in NTC, the National Training Center, the Marines were down in 29 Palms doing training. And if you went to the bottom part of NTC, you could observe some of the training event going on there. And the Marines were calling fire. The Army, you call for fire from artillery, which is pretty big guns. But when you can actually see the shell fly across the sky from one of these battleships, it's amazing the amount of firepower that one of those battleships have. And they were taken out for missile cruisers because there's more firepower on one of those. Crazy the amount of firepower we have. VJ Day. Never forgotten. There's a couple links there. Hashtag VJ75, VJ Day 75. I know some of these folks, like here, if you're in the Virginia area, the National Army Museum is being built right up the road, up further north from me, at Fort Belvoir. It's going to be a great place. The Marine Corps Museum's right here. But these folks, the Royal Air Force Museum, the National Army Museum, the National Museum of the Royal Navy, and Commonwealth War Graves is all kind of coming together. They're taking donations as well. VJ 75. 75 years ago, victory in Japan. Crazy war. War is always crazy, but that was a bad one. So that's our day. You should know that one today, VJ Day. You should know. That takes us right back to the bottom of the hour. Gosh, thanks for being here, guys. I'm going to miss you over the next week, but we'll be back bright and early on Thursday, the 10th, our next Cyber Trivia Day, by the way. So when we get back, get your chops ready. Get ready to go. Cyber Trivia. So you can win it. Some of the stuff went out. If you know Ralph, and I think some of you guys know Ralph, I need Ralph's address. I got Ralph's stuff sitting here, and I got to get it out in the mail, but I don't have Ralph's address. So if he can send it to me at info@cyber- don't forget the dash, cyber-recon.com, we can get his stuff out in the mail. So that being said, the Bravos are always going to tell you go get some. I'm going to say take care of your friends, your family, your coworkers, your organization. Take care of each other. Go fight the good fight today. And we'll see you in a week. Be good out there, guys. Stay dry and warm and cool and whatever you need to do in your area. But we will see you in a week.